Almost every major city has a subway system. The annual passenger flow averages in the millions, and in places like Tokyo, it even reaches into the billions. Authorities always assure us that vast amounts of budget are spent on maintaining the metro, and that it's one of the safest forms of transportation. This, however, is a lie. I am 25 years old, healthy, rational, and a bit cynical. I stopped believing in fairy tales a long time ago. I won't waste time delving into my past, my work, or my personal life. There is no time for that. I need to warn you. The story I'm about to tell is complete and truthful. You need to believe me. I've spent my entire life in a city where about 400,000 people use the metro every day. Naturally, I've heard the usual urban legends, tales of meter-long rats, track walkers, ghost trains, and other creatures supposedly haunting the tunnels, terrorizing passengers. But what I've uncovered goes beyond any of these stories. It's never been mentioned in any of the legends or horror tales. The truth is far more horrifying. Now I know, without a doubt, that more people descend into the metro than ever return. Let's start from the beginning. Have you ever noticed those puddles of strange black liquid that look like fuel oil? I have too. For simplicity's sake, I'll call it fuel oil. If you don't like the name, feel free to come up with a better one. Every morning and evening, year after year, I've commuted by metro. In the rush of the morning, there is no time to watch where you are stepping, and by the end of a long workday, it is the same. But this fuel oil, in various forms, it's everywhere in the metro. From a puddle in the lobby to random drops on the escalator steps. I've stepped into these oily puddles more times than I can count, and every single time I was lucky, extremely lucky. Now, thinking back on it, I feel a chill run through me, as if I had just narrowly escaped falling into an abyss. It turns out that, like thousands of other citizens, I've been avoiding a terrible danger every day, without even realizing it. People accidentally step into these puddles all the time, scattered around stations and underpasses. Passengers rush to and from work, moving together like a school of fish, sticking to the same path, never looking around or watching their steps. And just like a school of fish, there is always a predator lurking nearby. The other day, I ended up staying late at work. Instead of leaving at my usual 6 in the evening, I did not head out until after 8. I rushed from the office to the metro, eager to get home. I pushed through the revolving doors, entering the vestibule where the metro card recharge terminals were located. Only one terminal was glowing, the rest were dark. Right in front of it, there was that same damn puddle of fuel oil, glistening under the dim light. I was already heading toward the terminal when a guy in a black coat dashed past me, brushing my shoulder as he did. He reeked of alcohol. As he overtook me, he tripped over his feet and fell. Even though he managed to catch himself with his hands, his face still landed right in the puddle. I smirked, listening to him curse, thinking about how karma works. Slowly, he started getting back up, but I found myself staring at the puddle. From a few steps away, I could smell something odd, the distinct scent of creosote, the kind used on wooden sleepers. Strange, right? It's been decades since the city replaced wooden tiles with reinforced concrete, which doesn't need creosote. The black liquid shimmered in the light like gasoline, though it looked much thicker. The guy, now on his feet, clumsily wiped his face with his shoulder, only smearing the oil further across his face and coat. That's when I felt it, a creeping sense of unease. Something felt off. I looked around, but nothing seemed unusual, nothing out of place. Then I glanced up. Directly above the puddle was a barely visible ventilation grate. Black streaks of that same fuel oil were smeared across it, and tiny swollen drops hung from the grate, like condensation. The guy, still wiping his face, followed my gaze upward. He saw the grate too, right above him. I watched, as if in slow motion, as one of the drops fell and landed directly in his eye. Another burst of swearing. In the dim light of the lobby, the ceiling was nearly invisible, but the oily grate shimmered faintly. I found myself staring at the darkness behind the grate, as though an endless abyss stretched beyond it. For a split second, I thought I saw something move behind the grate, but I brushed it off as a trick of the shadows and my rising anxiety. Just as quickly as it had appeared, the anxiety faded. The guy was now carefully rubbing his eye with the sleeve of his coat. I walked around him, topped up my Metro card, and passed through the turnstile. Out on the platform, I checked the clock. The last train had left a few minutes ago, meaning the next one will be arriving in about 5 minutes. I glanced over and saw the guy standing by a column a short distance from me. He had not done a great job wiping the oil off his face and coat. He stood there now with a goofy smile, his dirty hands shoved into his pockets, swaying slightly on his feet. He looked like any other drunk teenager, though he seemed well dressed. Nothing remarkable. He could not have been more than 20. Even though the age gap between us was not huge, at that moment I felt much older, as if I'd already hit 30. Just as I was about to look away and observe the other commuters, I noticed something strange. He started nodding his head, rapidly, uncontrollably. It was as if he had the most intense song playing in his headphones. I found myself wondering what people were using these days to get that kind of high. And then it hit me. He was not wearing headphones. He just stood there, trembling, and the few people who noticed him gave a passing glance before continuing to study the station walls. That's how it always was. We ignore it ourselves. Whether it's a homeless person begging you to buy him some tea to warm up, or an old lady who has fallen. Okay, the old lady who has fallen can still be helped, but most people still pass by, pretending not to notice it. I was about to call out to him and ask if he needed help when he stopped doing so. We were a dozen steps apart, but I saw his glassy stare into space, which I attributed to his very drunk state. His smile widened, and I saw with disgust that black drops of fuel oil were visible on his teeth. I shuddered. A chill ran down my spine and turned away. How disgusting. A gust of wind from the tunnel brought the sounds of an approaching train. Then the train itself appeared. The carriages were no longer too crowded. There were even some free seats. Having hurried to take one of them, right next to the carriage doors, I looked around in search of the drunk guy. Not finding him on the sides, I looked at the glass in front of me and saw that he was standing to the right of me, literally a step away. And he was looking. He was not looking at the glass, but simply turning his whole body towards me, piercing me with his gaze. I shuddered in surprise and turned around abruptly. Yes, he was here, and looking into his eyes, I shuddered again. Black grease had gathered on his lower eyelids like mascara, and coupled with the head jerk a minute earlier, he looked to all the world like a made-up modern rock fan. Hey, did it come out? I asked. He remained silent, continuing to smile and look at me. Be nice, kid. Don't irritate me. Nothing has changed. Should I break you right here? The guy leaned toward me, not taking his eyes off me, and I examined his face. His eyes were cloudy, like a dead fish, and the fuel oil was scattered in small drops on his eyelashes. There was also fuel oil between his teeth, like a coating. He sighed, and I again smelled the irritating smell of creosote, which even overpowered the fumes. Fuel oil, you say? The guy hissed with a whistling talk, interrupting the noise of the rushing carriage. What fuel oil? You are a funny man, but it is not fuel oil, it is me. He continued to hiss. What the fuck, fuel oil? I hear what you're thinking. Your farts stink, like everyone else's. I thought he had too much to drink, and beating up a drunk kid in front of the entire train car for his words would be unnecessary. At that time, what he said caused me nothing but irritation. The carriage began to slow down, and I stood up. Standing by the door and looking at my reflection, I noted with displeasure that the guy was still looking at me strangely and smiling. The train had almost stopped, and he came up to me and quickly whispered in my ear. You almost gassed, I can tell you. Come with me. We need people like you. What the fuck is wrong with you? I shouted, pushing him away. Go away, Grimy. Let's go, let's go, let's go. He began to speak faster and faster, and all I heard was, let's go, let's go, let's go. I could not stand it. From the spot, without a swing, I hit him with a side kick right in the jaw. There was a pleasant crunch under my fist. The guy shut up and fell to the floor, and I turned around and ran towards the turnstiles. There was a 24-hour police station at the station, and I was rushing there, not caring that I had just committed an act of violence. The grimy man's behavior was too strange to ignore. What if he was dangerous to society? I wanted to quickly knock on the iron door with the sign police, but in my ears was what he was saying again and again, and anxiety got the better of me again. So instead of a quick knock on the door, there was literally a machine gun burst that echoed throughout the station. There was a stomping sound behind the door, the sound of a lock opening, and in the open doors, I saw two fat policemen put in full uniform, with pistols, and most importantly, not looking sleepy. On the contrary, they looked wary. Quickly, follow me, there is a miner pissing in the car. I lied, the first thing that came to my mind, and surprisingly, the most successful. The policemen looked at each other and ran after me. Running down the steps, back to the station, I saw that the grimy man was standing on the platform much closer to the tunnel than he had been, and most importantly, he was holding the hand of a woman who was riding with us in the carriage. I sensed something was wrong and ran even faster, shouting along the way, "There he is, catch him." The police, though pot-bellied, did not lag behind and quickly realized that something was wrong. All the people left on the platform were looking in this guy's direction. Grimy looked at us, smiling the same scary smile. When we were about 10 meters away from them, the woman he was holding by the hand turned around. Even while running, I managed to see the tears in her eyes and her generally frightened look. She tried to free her hand, jerking in our direction, but then something happened that I have been fucking dreaming about in detail for several days now. When she tried to take a step in our direction, the grimy man jerked her sharply in his direction, and she, describing an arc in the air, hit her head on the floor, and the grimy man, continuing to smile, suddenly jumped up sharply and landed on her head with both feet with a terrible crunch. I heard this crunch through the stamping of feet and through my own heavy breathing. It was as if a bucket of red paint had been splashed from under the woman's head. Less than 10 meters already, I even felt one of the policemen taking his gun out of his holster. A cry from behind, "Move aside, fuck." I turned to the side while running, approaching the grimy guy from behind, and he remained in the line of fire of the gun. The oily guy, without letting go of the woman's hand, turned on the spot towards the tunnel and jumped with unimaginable speed and some kind of cat-like grace. I am sure that no person in the world, even the most experienced acrobat, could repeat this trick in such a drunken state. What's more, this guy was tripping over his own feet 10 minutes ago. The woman's limp body lurched after him, leaving bloody stains on the station tiles. The policeman and I ran to the edge of the platform and heard the grimy man dragging the body along the sleepers. Then one of them, despite his build, quickly jumped onto the rails, stretched out his shaking hand with a pistol and yelled, "Freeze, bitch, or I'll shoot. You have 1 second." The commotion in the tunnel continued and he fired. I was looking right there, into the tunnel. You know, like a train is coming and you want to see it coming for some unknown reason. I wanted to see what was going on there, but now I think that I did all that for nothing. I should have done like everyone else, pretended that nothing was happening, ignored the guy, exited the station, and went about my business. The shot flashed a small space in front of the policeman. Despite his agile jump, the grimy man was only a few meters away from us. He was walking into the tunnel and holding a broken doll, which the woman had turned into, basically. He walked with his back to us, and faint lights could be seen in the distance along the tunnel. But there was something else in the tunnel beside the guy's silhouette. His whole body was shaking from adrenaline. His gaze could not focus on anything specific, and the shadows were blurry. But this was something huge, almost as tall as a train car, and resembled the figure of a man with several extra pairs of arms and legs, much longer and strangely curved, as if broken in several places. I felt like I forgot how to breathe for a moment. The second policeman also jumped onto the tracks, and between them, they emptied 2 magazines each. The roar of gunshots, the screams of the fear and fleeing passengers at the station. I watched, fascinated, the figures in the tunnels who moved jerkily in the flashes of gunfire as if under a strobe light. Something sprayed from the guy's back when the bullets hit him. In the darkness of the tunnel, against the backdrop of a weak and distant light, I saw a barely distinguishable, many-legged and many-armed figure climb up the tubes, into some opening and disappear. And the guy, having reached that place, jumped into the same place, dragging the woman's corpse there. The frozen policeman started shouting something into the radio, and I, taking advantage of the confusion, jumped onto the tracks and ran towards the figures. I don't know why. Fucking hell. I had to take out my phone and shine a flashlight. The same fuel oil was splashed on the sleepers and rails. My heart was jumping out of my chest. I carefully walked around the fuel oil and went to the place where those creatures had climbed. There was a ventilation grate there, the same fucking one as in the lobby, and it was pushed back into place, as if it had been there for 1,000 years. The police shouted for me to return. The people at the station seemed to have been blown away by the wind, and the 3 of us were left alone. Several CCTV cameras glowed red diodes. The police looked at me expectantly. What the fuck is this? Did you see it? I was in complete shock, and it seemed that only confirmation from them would keep me from going completely nuts. We saw it. What do you mean you saw? What is this? You shouldn't give a fuck. You have a minute to hide. If I find you, I'll put you in bracelets and take you to the police station, the bigger one said, gritting his teeth. Holy shit. Guys, what's wrong with you? 1, 2, 3. Before entering my building, I threw the sneakers I was wearing into the trash can. When I sat down to write this down, so as to not miss a single detail, everything began to line up into one picture. All those people who work underground know something. The metro in every city is a secret and restricted facility that is heavily guarded. Illegal entry into the metro is punished very severely, and the law does not always manage to punish before what lives in the tunnels. After what happened, I decided to look at the photos of the metro employees that are publicly available. And what do you think? Do you think I saw those tired and haggard faces that I see day after day? No fucking way. Every photo shows smiling and glowing people who are proud of their work, no resemblance to the people I saw, with the drivers, tired and grey, who can be seen for a few moments in the rushing train, with conductors who enter the train carriage at the last station with a face as if they were going up to the scaffold before execution. If you start paying attention to it, you will notice it yourself. There is already the stamp on their faces. I don't even know what to call it. The stamp of hopelessness. If they tell you what they know, then what? Who will believe? Who will believe it? I don't even know what to say, but my imagination draws these multi-armed creatures with fuel oil dripping from their mouths, sitting right above the ventilation grates all over the subway. The smell of creosote suggests that these creatures are quite old. Please help me decipher my experience. I am at risk of someone I know IRL finding out who I am by the details of the story. But fuck it. I want to know what happened. Some of my delusions in the episode reference TV shows and video games, but please read anyway. I've posted a little bit about this on X before, but here is the whole thing. Be me. Be 19 years old. Be homeless for 4 months. Neat bucks kick in. Move into low-income apartment. Not on any psychiatric medication. Now, here is the part where I tell most people I don't remember what happened. I tell them it was like I blacked out for 3 months. But the truth is, I remember bits and pieces of what happened. I don't know how much of this is real and how much of this is fake. So if I say something like, I made matter appear, I am just saying what I remember. Move into apartment. Sudden compulsion to go to the library. Having Metro PCs, hello, 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 unlimit yourself, stuck over and over in my head. Sometimes changes into vague, alternative rock. Compulsion to check out copies of 1984, Animal Farm, and a biography of George Orwell. Take them home. Start deciding I want to map out all of my morals into different text documents on my computer. Don't know why. Just had a compulsion to do it. Felt like my mind was unorganized or something. Memory a little foggy, but the main folder had 4 folders, and each folder had 4 folders inside it with text documents having memories and morals in each folder. Started becoming diluted somehow. Get into weird, trance-like state. Each section, the 4 folders, had a D, N, or F for wisdom, courage, and power. 4th section was Z for empty, hidden, middle part of the Triforce. I thought I could sort everything in my mind into those 4 categories. Next thing I know, I have the alphabet in a notepad document. Memory of this is foggy. Something about highlighting questions I write and them becoming answers. For example, I wrote, "Who are you?" and highlighted it, and it became, "Who do you think I am?" Foggy. Not so sure what happens between that and this next thing. It gets to the point where I think I can do better than God, the Judeo-Christian God. I refer to that God as Tri, and am believing there are other gods. FYI, I was an atheist. Decide to create my own 7 deadly sins. Look up 7 deadly sins online, and mine actually just boiled down to those. I didn't have them memorized. This maddens me for some reason, in this sort of psychosis or whatever. Go to bed and lay down and meditate. I don't know how to meditate. And Bella, I would like to release my chi to Mother Earth for 3,000 years. Thinking I could transport myself 3,000 years into the future. Suddenly get possessed, get up, and start flipping off, showing my middle finger to everything in my apartment. Screaming about how all these things are harmful to Mother Earth, and Mother Earth isn't interested in my chi. Crying in shower, apologizing to Try. Apologizing to Mother Earth. Get out of shower. Start uncontrollably and very loudly singing human history from ancient Greek times to present, or at least my understanding of human history, to the theme of Super Smash Bros. Brawl. When it gets to around year 2000, I change theme song to the theme of Spider-Man, but still singing human history and the birth of the internet. Kinda foggy stuff. Something about me thinking I'm a god like Try. I think I've created a world, and people outside my apartment, and my apartment isn't where it was. Something about me typing on the microwave. Don't remember exactly. Every time I add the number 9, I think I'm creating 9 times more people. Think I've created too many people. Scream, "Let my people go," and press the clear button on the microwave to genocide people. I know that's not what "let my people go" means, but whatever. Satisfied with amount of people. Kinda foggy here again, asking questions to microwave. It responds by displaying 0 or 1 for no or yes. Asking if it's safe to go outside. Thinking new world I created did not have a breathable atmosphere. Kinda foggy here. Wake up in bed. See cardboard boxes in my bathroom with star dates on them. See journal with issue 1 property of my name written on it. I had forgotten I was keeping track of my diet in that journal and was calling each week an issue, but somehow read it as a whole sentence. Freak out. Think someone had been using my vessel to do tasks. See George Orwell book. Read it as it has another meaning, George or wellness. One of my mother's cats is named George. Thinking George is more important than me, and somehow that was some kind of threat, and I should continue letting my vessel be used. Wake up every day with more large cardboard boxes with star dates on them. Heavy knocking on my door. Ignore it. Crying in shower every day. Stacking food into pyramids. Something about stacking 3 tapestries in my room into an X. Explaining that there is no past, present, and future. Put Zelda 4 Swords Adventures box in the middle of the X, screaming about how time is a 4-sworded adventure. Something about stacking the posters in my room together and how my belongings reflected my personality. For some reason, putting GameCube and Wii discs into the sink and on a Monopoly board, trying to create a world again or something. Had extra cheesy goldfish crackers or something. Uncontrollably ranting about how it's the big American cheese or something. Yelling, "Follow your nose, find the rat," in Toucan Sam impression. I don't know why exactly. Sniffing out various objects in my room with a goldfish cracker and screaming, "Good job, you found the rat." Adding the rats to my pyramids of food. Also a pyramid of carrots from my fridge with my glasses on top. Thought it would somehow make my eyesight perfect. All this made sense to me at the time. Foggy memories again. Something about microwave keeps turning on, and me waking up in bed, and microwave being a different microwave. Happens a few times. It's 3:33 a.m. Been about a week living in my apartment. Scream, "Oh my god, 333. 333 being an evil number was a joke back then or something. Screaming about how on the internet there was something called Operation Exit DOS for people trapped inside the internet to be free. Screaming about Freakazoid. Start screaming, "Oh my god, free, free, free," while hitting free on the microwave over and over. Microwave turns on. Keep chanting and screaming until it becomes, "Kill my god, free, free, free. Kill my god, free, free, free." Chant just becomes gibberish over and over. Wake up in bed again. Some reason, there is a new label on my microwave. Remove protective film before use. Another shower and crying. Police bust down my bathroom door. My mom is there. They put me on a stretcher. I begin singing uncontrollably. In emergency room, there's a lady writing down what I'm singing. They keep asking me for a pee sample, but I thought they were saying pie, but pronounced P, and I thought it was another word for chi. I sing loudly into the pee container. "Here is your pee." My mom at this point is laughing and pissing herself. I say something like, "Yes, pee for Mother Earth." She's like, "Stop, son," and laughing and pissing her pants. I don't know if relevant, but she is actually my dad's ex-girlfriend, but I call her mom because she raised me. I'm put on another stretcher. I ask if these people are people I know from a message board. They say that they are. I scream something at them to the tune of the Simpsons theme and yell, "Do, do, do," while pointing at them, thinking it can make them disappear. I wake up in mental hospital, covered in those sticky, rubber, EKG things. See security camera in my room. I don't have my glasses, so I think it's the universe, torn or something, in glass thing. My attorney appears and says to sign something. I see someone who looks like an old version of my dad and ask him if he's Father Time. He says go back to sleep. I say something like, "No one fucks with Mother Earth." Well, Father Time fucked Mother Earth and created me. This gets him mad. He calls nurses and gives me injection to put me to sleep. Every time I leave the room, nurses tackle me and take me back to my room. Not aware this is a mental hospital at the time, by the way, thinking that it is the future. See sign out in the hallway with alien face. Please, no yellow bags of flesh. Thinking only aliens are allowed to be out there, and that is why I keep getting tackled. Soak red pillow in bathroom sink, put it on bed and lay on it. Trick hospital staff into thinking it's blood leaking from my bed. Something about thinking the pillow tag, polyester, is an alien material. more foggy memory. Wake up in different room. Girl who won't talk to me is there. Something about there being multiple versions of me as other patients. One looks exactly like me, but skinny, with an eye patch, smokes, and a red and black plaid shirt. One looks like me, but fatter, and crooked teeth, and stupid. Something happening with running through hallways and getting tackled by hospital staff. Kept hearing Indian flutes. Kept hearing doors slamming. I think, at one point, they figure I'm recovered and try and take me home. My therapist is there, trying to bring me to rec center, dragging me around like a rag doll. Various other weird happenings, and waking up in hospitals. These are too hard to place in order. There was stuff like staff who kept saying, 5150 just broke the fourth wall. 5150 is a 72-hour psychiatric hold. Another staff kept saying, don't rock the dragon. Another happening is me at the mental hospital again. Running around room, making comedy sketch. Something about rich people's assets being Scooby snacks. Time will come for them to give it up. Zoinks, ruh-roh. And I kept saying, Mormons are morons. Another room I'm sent to in the hospital. I see people watching TVs with Illuminati symbols. Another room I'm sent to and pulled under the door and blindfolded and put on a large spinning wheel. Another room I'm sent to and rearranging vegetables on the floor and creating spiders. Another room I'm sent to, I hear explosions outside. Oh no, other people have discovered the microwave trick, and the world is ending due to it. Another room I'm sent to, and rearranging colored balls on the floor, like atoms, planets, and Legos, and Monopoly houses. I don't understand either. Another room I'm sent to, and pushing these metal designs on the floor, around to make a prophecy. Another room I'm sent to, and making galaxies and solar systems on the mattress. Another room I'm sent to, I tear a mattress into shreds. Another room, I had a dream about Merlon from Microsoft offering to give me a fake reality of whatever I wanted, and I was suffocating, trying to scream, fuck you. Another room, I had a stupid fucking fire alarm. The same room, I recite mysteriousness loudly and annoy my roommate. It's an old English skit I have memorized. Google it. It's some Atlantis satire documentary. The same room, I'm given a puzzle book to keep me occupied. Some other stuff about solving mysteries in magazines. All this is really hard to explain because order of events are hard to remember. Something about running from one end of the hospital to the other to smack into the stupid version of me, and I was merging. Then I merged the same way with the skinny eye patch me who smoked. Was sent to other hospitals too. One of them, this guy with an Arabic accent, kept blocking the way out of the room, and I would scream about how he was a terrorist and he'd let me out. In the same hospital, they would not let me shower, and I was like, I'll prove I'll shower without masturbating, and showered with a nurse watching, and some patients, and they were somehow amazed that I did not masturbate. In this hospital, there was also a girl who materialized and was unstable, and spinning like a Tasmanian devil. It looked weird. And a guy who refused to eat, and was Indian, and very old and skinny, and a big, sunny guy with a beard and a yellow shirt. Also, I saw Penn Jillette on TV, yelling about how he had to sell cars, and he was separated from Teller because of me. Other details of that hospital too hard to explain. We watched the J. Ward cartoon, Super Chicken, black and white and in Spanish. I think I get taken back home again at one point, and I ran into the street, singing the theme of Never Gonna Give You Up. We descend from above, instead of We're no strangers to love. We give you tools to learn to fly, instead of You know the rules and so do I. I don't remember the other lyrics. Was sent to some outpatient voluntary hospital. get picked up by Mystery Inc., minus Scooby-Doo. They were paramedics, I guess, but they looked exactly like Fred, Velma, Daphne, and Shaggy. Was sent to an emergency room in a tall building, being blamed for 9/11. I think they used rocuronium on me. I could not move or breathe. I think it was because Shaggy was mad because I said he looked like Shaggy. Then I was singing, and Walt Disney had returned from the grave to do Mickey Mouse impressions and make balloon animals to cheer me and the other patients up. Then I was sent to another mental hospital. Other mental hospital, we got to go outside and eat ice cream. Thought the guys who gave us ice cream with sunglasses were trying to convert us to Christianity. Saw Penn and Teller outside, but Teller was taller than Penn, and Teller had a blanket and was shivering, and Penn smiled and nodded and telepathically communicated he'll return to normal. This Mexican lady kept saying I was going to be her brother-in-law. There were aliens working here with loose faces. I was taken to brainwashing rooms here to return to normal. I had some kind of psychic twin who was dying. I don't know, hard to explain. Was taken back to apartment at one point. Thought I had learned that I was the reincarnation of Adolf Hitler. Saw Hitler being made fun of in South Park. Thought it was unfair and a mockery. How dare they make fun of me and say I will go to hell? In my apartment, my therapist and me are in my living room. I'm drawing a picture as he changes radio stations. Unbeknownst to him and me, I'm actually in the bathroom, so it is a different me. I'm hearing them from inside the bathroom. Other counselor there. Me writing that other therapist is a pedophile for some reason, and him trying to shut me up. Me scream from inside bathroom. Counselor yelling about how I made the other me collapse. They ask me to make the doorknob reappear, explaining what atoms, elements, and molecules that I need. Another happening involves me waking up in the emergency room, over and over, shifting to slightly different realities, saying one of the nurses can talk to animals, and that she is a pious, Elysian, Thornberryist extremist. I get circumcised during one of these wakings up, but I am not circumcised now, so I don't know how I can remember being circumcised. One of them involves me being a number or something, hard to explain. Eventually, I shift back into this reality's emergency room, taken to another hospital, where I meet Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Linus Torvalds. Think that their names are literal. Bill Gates people from going to heaven. Steve gives people jobs. Linus creates a Torvaldian. I thought that was a word. Bill, Steve, and Linus gave us, me and the other patients, apples and bananas every night. There was some guy who looked like he was from Star Trek there. Also, there was some Asian girl who kept singing, "Don't you need somebody to lean on?" Also, there was an Asian guy who kept saying she was his wife. They were both patients though, and when I told him of my troubles, he kept screaming, "What a shame." And I thought they were going to use my skull to create a Wi-Fi signal, and he said, Wi-Fi, like Wi-Fi. One of the staff kept saying I was naked when I was not naked, and sending me back to my room. He also said I had fur balls when I had coughing fits. Sometimes, when I would have laughing fits, I'd hear totem, totem, totem in my head. Also, some girl gave me the flower of life. She drew it on paper, and I ate it, and she freaked out. She's like, "You ate the flower of life? I've never heard of anyone doing this." I said something like, "The only thing worse than a Jehovah's Witness is a Mormon." And this girl was like, "Thanks, I'm a Mormon." They kept trying to sex change a man to a woman for some kind of alien technology. Also, this granny kept talking about being abducted by aliens, and they kept trying to shut her up. She kept mentioning Seth. Jerry Seinfeld was my doctor. We had something where we went around a circle answering a question, It was my turn, and it would have been perfect if I said, "Never after," but they skipped me, and someone answered the question a little less clever. Also, Tiger Woods was a patient there too. Now the staff said I was naked, were here, and being yelled at by staff, and I had a coughing fit, and he said, "Oh, those are just furballs." Then slam, they knocked him down, and I heard his last breath. What did I do? And he died. At this hospital, I met the Powerpuff Girls and Professor Utonium. Also a Catholic girl who would cuss, and a girl who I kept calling a robot Furby, and a girl who said she was a bee, and that she needed to get back to her brothers and sister. Somehow, I learned celebrities are immortal. When they die, they just become a different celebrity, and this is all due to them feeding off of me. Also an android who looked like Ellen DeGeneres worked at the hospital now. She'd freak out if I called her Ellen, bitch, bot, or robot. She kept saying I could not watch The Simpsons because The Simpsons upset me. She tried to make us watch some boring-ass movie called Free Christmases or some shit. I mostly returned to sanity in this last hospital. Was eventually sent to a board and care home. Too medicated to protest, and they said I wasn't evicted from my apartment. Landlady of apartment, I kept freaking out, and those for months stole all of my possessions and claimed I threw them away. Had my dad pick me up and get me off the psych meds. I work and go to school now. No drugs, no hospitals. That is about it. There were other happenings and hospitalizations at those hospitals, but I think I nailed the important stuff. So, is this paranormal? If not, then what is it? Why was I experiencing it, and why do I still remember it? If it's a mental thing, what was it, and why was it a one-time deal?